the tape for this, our main event of the evening. We introduce the champion, Chris, the West Side Strangler Brennan. Let's get it on!
Hey guys, what's up? We are back for the UFC 289 recap. Great night of fights. Great weekend of fights. It was wild.
Yeah, I was busy all weekend watching fights,
Yeah.
which is a good weekend to have. I count that as a win. So. We'll jump right into it. First fight, Bryce Mitchell and Ilia Topuria. This did not go how I thought it was going to go by any stretch. And, yeah, I felt the same way.
Hard to watch, man. Like I said before, Bryce is a good friend of ours, trains with Lucas a lot. His coach, Rolly Delgado, is a really good friend of mine. So difficult. I text Rolly instantly afterwards. I didn't text Bryce for a little while. Text Rolly right away,
Yeah.
And then I text Bryce a little while later, and he replied to me actually, I think today. Or TJ replied to me today. Bryce replied to me yesterday.
Okay.
But I just asked him if he was okay, and he said, I will be. Or he said, I'm okay now, I think.
Okay.
And, it was a tough guy. And I don't know what camp that guy's out of, but he clearly trains with good guys. Bryce is kind of in the position that Lucas is in at his gym. They've got TJ. Bryce and TJ are the two main guys that fight out of that gym. TJ was making trips to Glory, to train at the time.
Yep.
So Bryce was kind of training with anybody else, and not that they don't have good guys there. They have a lot of really good guys in there. All their guys go very hard, but on Bryce's level, fighting wise, he doesn't have anyone to train with, and that's why we loved going to train with Bryce. Him and Lucas are great partners. I saw early on the takedowns got stuffed pretty easy. The punches were landing pretty hard, and it just kind of started going downhill from there. I was so nervous watching it. I was pretty nervous at the beginning, but I know what Bryce is capable of.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is going to be good. And then I was like, it's not looking fantastic.
And then
he was sick. I know, not then, I don't think, but he was definitely had the flu the week before, and was sick all week the week before. And there's that a lot of that going around right now. There's been a lot of people sick here in my gym.
Yep.
And so I don't know, performance wise, how bad it affected him. I haven't talked to him about it at all. I just know that he said that he posted something saying that he had the flu the week before, and I had already known that he had from Rolly. But yeah, difficult to watch. Hopefully it doesn't set him too far back. I'm sure it'll knock him out of the top 10 rankings because he was 9, and I think Topuria was 14 or 15.
I think that's right. I might be able to pull it up.
Yeah, so it'll probably knock him out of top 10, but not too far back. And hopefully, he heals up, starts training hard, and gets back at it.
Were you surprised at Topuria and what he brought?
I mean, I was, but at the same time, I wasn't. Like, he had a similar record to Bryce, where he's 12-0, I think, 12 or 13-0. He hit really hard. I knew he hit hard. I knew he was a solid wrestler, and he was. And the finish, I was surprised by the finish, but he kind of sat Bryce down, and then as Bryce was sitting up, jumped on that arm triangle while he was still sitting up.
Yep.
And pulled him to the ground with it. Bryce, I love Bryce, but he'll probably admit that at that point in time, he tapped pretty early. He looked like he wanted out at that point because he knew he didn't feel well. He wasn't performing well, and it wasn't Bryce-like.
Yeah.
So that was more when I watched, I was like, man, he didn't look good.
It was a crank, wasn't it?
It was an arm triangle.
Okay.
Or head and arm choke. But I just that is not the Bryce that I know.
Yep.
And you can say that sometimes, and you're discrediting the other guy. I don't mean to discredit the other guy at all. I just know Bryce and what he's capable of, and he's capable of more than that.
Yep.
Whether that guy beats him a different time or not, it's just not that. It's not that easy of a fight. It's a much better fight, and so
it earned Ilia Performance of the Night.
So they gave out 9 of those, I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, TJ got one too, which is really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, actually, because another fight that we're talking about a little later on actually got another one. So,
Yeah.
So it looks like Dana was making it rain a little bit with those performance. But that's awesome. Yep. Yeah, I was impressed with Ilya. He looked really good. My heart hurt for Bryce. I was really pulling for him. And
tough night for me watching that being the first fight on the main card. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, well, and it started off rough, and we'll get there, but it sure ended rough as well.
Yeah.
It was a tough night. Darren Till and Dricus du Plessis, as they said. This one ended up being fight of the night. Du Plessis.
Seriously?
Yeah, yep, they call this fight of the night.
Huh. So, remember when I said that Darren Till had been training with Hamzat Chimaev?
Yeah.
And they were buddies?
Yeah.
He clearly didn't teach him how to wrestle. Clearly didn't show him any wrestling. His takedown defense was zero.
Yeah.
He had zero takedown defense. He, to be honest, he didn't even look like he attempted this sprawl. He just sat down or fall down every time he got shot on. I don't think he defended one takedown.
I can probably actually pull that up here and see if I
see what the average was or how many for how many.
So fight overview. Takedowns. Yeah. It was du Plessis was 6 of 6. So he did not
didn't stop one.
Yep, that's right.
He and it'd be one thing if you didn't stop one, but you had solid try or defense or whatever. He didn't even come close to attempting to stopping one of them. So I don't know how he planned on winning. I don't know what his game plan was. Did it go the distance?
No,
it didn't, right?
It did not. Du Plessis submitted him.
He got taken down
halfway in the
got mounted, turned his back, got choked. Instantly got choked as soon as he turned his back.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think of du Plessis? I don't know very much about this guy.
I didn't either. I'd seen him fight once or twice before. He's tough. He landed a lot of good shots. He put a lot of pressure on him.
He looked gigantic.
Yeah, he was big, man. Very
super
very
muscular.
Yeah, very
like when he
muscular.
got up on top of the ring, I was just like, dang, that dude's jacked.
Yeah.
He looked really good. Had you been in Till's corner, what would you have told him to do differently?
Learned wrestling from Hamzat. You've been friends with him and training with him for months. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah. I mean, and if we look through some,
like I told you, I'm not to talk trash on Till. I'm not a fan. How many losses is that now? 6.
I need to pull it up and see. Give me a second to pull it up.
He's got to be coming off.
It might be 5, but
5 with 1 in between, and then some more before that.
Let me pull it up and see here. I should have that ready. But yeah, I think he's.
And that's what I said. The other guy had been fighting and winning and doing better, and Darren had not. I know he'd fought. I'd said he'd fought tough guys, and so that's why he'd been losing. But he had a good. I said only 3.
So yeah, he
3-1,
he
2-1.
lost 2, then beat Gastelum, and now he's on a 3-fight skid.
Yeah. So.
And we went over this last time. Woodley, Masvidal, Whitaker, Brunson, du Plessis. I mean, he's lost to tough people, and he beat Gastelum. But once you get up to that level, you got to be at that level.
But where's Woodley? Right, not in the UFC
Not
anymore.
in the UFC. Yeah, Masvidal.
Where's Masvidal's? He had 2 home runs, and he hasn't done anything since then.
Yeah.
Would
Masvidal be who he was, who he is?
No.
If he hadn't knocked out
Ben Askren?
like that?
No. He's great.
Yeah.
Or really good, I should say.
Yeah.
He's always been that.
Yep.
He's always been, a really good fighter, a tough guy, whatever, but he's not going to be a title holder. He's not going to win the belt.
Yeah. So yeah, getting back to Till, he's 1 out of his last 5 fights. No, I'm sorry, 1 out of his last 6 fights.
3-fight skid. A lot of times that'll get you sent home. So we'll see.
Yeah, he's got a big. I mean, does his name carry him for one more fight? Or
I mean, it could. I'm sure. I don't know what's up with his teeth. He's got new teeth or something. He had like 4 people's mouths worth of teeth in his mouth. Gigantic, perfectly straight white teeth.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he's taken some of his win money and gotten some work done.
He got something done.
So, that's hilarious. No, it's freaking hilarious. Santiago Ponzinibbio finished Alex Moreno in a TKO. Actually, it was a KO in the third round. I think they called it a TKO.
Yeah.
Third round, 229. It was halfway through the third.
I was bummed for that because I like Alex Moreno.
Morono. I'm saying it wrong.
Morono. He's from Texas, fights out of Houston. He has taken multiple fights on short notice. He took this one on a week, I think, 2 weeks when Lawler dropped out. He's very, very technical. Straight punches, good stance, good head movement. Hits really hard, but he started getting touched after a little bit. He was winning. I thought he was on points. He was touching him up pretty good, doing his thing, doing really well, and then started getting hit, and then he really started getting hit, and then it went south.
The way that Morano his bounce it's almost like his legs are tight. You don't see stiff, knee movement. You just see him. I've never seen anybody with that.
Yeah, he is pretty upright.
Yes,
pretty upright and kind of bouncy that way. Everything's very straight though. Punch wise, he's not very wild. But yeah, he does have a weird stance. He's people that walk on their toes.
Absolutely.
That's what he looks like when he's moving around the ring. He looks like somebody that walks on their toes.
That's exactly what it looks like. You're absolutely right. So I'm looking at some of the fight overview here. So total strikes, it was only 66-38. That's a lower number than what I thought it would have been for significant strikes.
How many rounds did it go? 2?
It went into the third.
Oh, into the third?
Yeah.
Okay. That is low then.
Halfway through the third is when he got KO'd. I've never seen the look on Morano's face.
God, I forgot about that.
What have you seen that before? And what is that?
So, I was talking to somebody else from the Midwest during the fight.
Okay.
And he thought he was having a stroke. It looked like he was having a stroke.
Yeah.
It's also the face that made me have a freaking panic attack when Lucas was cutting one time, a really bad cut.
Okay.
His whole face did that, and his hands and everything like it freaked out. And I grabbed him and I held him and I was like trying to slowly pull his hands apart and his fingers apart.
Yeah.
And kind of calmed him down. But it was like his face was cramping. It was very weird. But that was the look that he had when he got knocked out. And as he was falling, it didn't change. It stayed there like that. I was like, oh, that was very weird.
Yeah.
I thought he might have broke his jaw. But
I wondered that too.
Hopefully he didn't. But yeah, that's what I thought.
Once he got
his mouth was open when he got hit. And that's a good chance to get your jaw broken that way.
Once he got back up, at the end of the fight, it looked like everything was square, but there was just that. I'm no doctor by any stretch, but it almost seemed neurological, not physical. You know how like sometimes when you get knocked out, you go all like really rigid, and that's not your body, that's your brain.
Right.
And I felt like that's what it looked like, but man, that was bizarre. And they played it over and over again. Every time I watched it, I'm just like, oh,
I stopped doing that.
Quit playing that. My opinion was, going into the third round, I felt like Morano was winning that fight. It felt, I think it could have been close, but it felt like he was winning to me.
Give him a camp, he wins the fight.
Yeah,
that's what I think. You give him a camp, he wins the fight.
So Ponzinibbio, it's a good win for him. Seems like that guy's gone through a lot of adversity. He came off a 2-fight losing streak, I believe, to get to here.
Alex was ranked in front of him, wasn't he?
I don't know the answer to that, but I think I can look and see.
I thought I heard Joe and them say something about him. It was being risky taking on short notice because he was ranked in front of him. I'm not positive on that, but I think that's the fight they were talking about.
Let me see if I can see rankings here. Darren Till was 10. Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's the wrong fight. Shoot, where is it?
Alex Morano.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I'll see if I can find it.
Okay.
Okay, Duplessis was 14, and
Other fight.
Why do I keep going to the other fight? Yeah.
Ponzinibbio.
Yeah, I don't see him. I don't know that were either of them ranked.
Maybe not.
I don't see them on the rankings.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Yeah, I don't see them on the rankings.
Yeah, I think with a camp he beats him.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, going into the third round, it felt like Morano was winning that fight.
I agree.
I think if it had gone, well, I was going to say if it had gone to a decision, I think Morano would have won. But based off of the weekend we had, who knows?
Yeah, God dang, man.
Who knows what that would have looked like?
Douglas, is it Douglas Crosby? Whatever Crosby is, that referee, somebody fire that guy ASAP, please.
Doug Crosby, I think that is. Yeah, that
He's
guy.
He's terrible. Not only was he bad at the UFC, the night before he was in Connecticut and screwed up the Bellator fights as well. He's the one that gave Sabatello 5 rounds.
Yep.
I was like, bro, come on.
Yeah, it was unreal. Yeah, and from what I saw, I know you should never do this, but I went kind of trolling through social media a little bit just to look at it, and a lot of people were like, "Man, this is who this guy is, Doug Crosby." Like, it sounds like that's the kind of judge he is, and people are like, seriously, Crosby again?
Stop bringing him in.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why they keep using this guy. Paddy Pimblett, Jared Gordon. This went to a unanimous, or this went to a decision, and they're listing it as unanimous. That doesn't sound right to me.
I don't remember.
I mean, that's what they're listing it as here. What'd you see with Paddy?
So, I love Paddy. I love Paul. I had him down going into the third round, and I thought the guy, whether Dana liked the game plan or not, he was winning the position. You know, he was on the outside of the fence. The other guy's back
Jared
to
Gordon?
the fence. Yes.
Okay.
He had his back for a little bit standing. He was the one that was imposing his position, his will in the position. And Dana said he blew it. He's messed up by that being his game plan, and whatever. But like, what if you don't like the game plan, that's fine. If it was boring to you, that's also fine. But on paper, he's doing again, if that was Lucas fighting, I've got him winning on the outside. I've got him losing on the inside. If his back's to the fence, I'm telling him, get off the fence, get off the fence, get off the fence. You got to turn. You got to get off the fence. And he just didn't. It was a close fight. I thought he got hit in the first round way too hard, way too many times with that left hook. That left hook was I was like, God dang, get your hand up, get your hand up. And it kept landing because he was the shorter guy.
Yeah.
And the shorter guy can land on the taller guy by, dropping his head and throwing that overhand. He was throwing his hook that way.
Yep.
And it was landing, it was finding the home at the beginning for a while, before he got back to the corner and they said something to him and he started addressing a little more. But yeah, it was a close fight.
Round by round, if you break it down, significant strikes in round one, 30-29 in favor of Gordon. So significant strikes, they were pretty close. Gordon did tally 40 total strikes versus the 29 for Paddy. So basically, Paddy wasn't doing anything except significant strikes is how they score it.
How many strikes total for Paddy?
29.
And how many at the end of the first round?
This is round one.
That is the first round.
This is round one. So 29 total, 29 significant for Paddy, 40 total, and 30 significant for Gordon at the end of round one. So we're going to call that pretty close. No takedowns. That's a pick 'em round right there. Then you go to round two. We've got significant strikes. Paddy scored more, 28 versus 24 significant strikes for Gordon. Gordon was 1 of 2 on takedowns. So it depends on how you're going to score that. Paddy did have the greater number of strikes. Then you get to round 3, 6 significant strikes for Paddy, 4 for Gordon, And then this is the takedowns, I believe. 2 of 3 takedowns for Gordon. Patty didn't have any. And I think that was when must have been more control by Gordon at that point.
Right. So Patty landed 2 more strikes of their 6 and 4 strikes, but he got taken down twice.
Yeah. So if you total it up, significant strikes, Patty had 5 more, 58-63 in the entire fight, but got taken down 3 times versus never once even. Oh, he was 0 of 3 for takedowns, so Patty did try, but he was 0 for 3.
That's weird. I don't even remember him trying takedowns. Yeah, I thought Jared landed the harder strikes. I went into this before in the pre-fight. I'm not sure. He has very good jiu-jitsu, Patty. And I know he's the superstar, and I know the crowd likes to see that. But, man, it's going to catch up to you, and I would rather him keep his chin intact moving forward, getting to the higher ranked guys, before having to, use his chin like that, before having to get hit like that.
I think Patty dodged a bullet. I hope that he learns from it, because had he fought for the crowd, I think. I mean,
oh, for sure.
But had he fought his fight, I don't know that it would have necessarily been that close. And maybe he looks at that and says, "Whoa, I just eked by. Maybe I need to work on my strategy a little bit more."
I'd be interested to talk to Paul and see what they thought, after rewatching it, because he played the crowd with Joe Rogan. Joe's like, "Man, that was a close one," and he said, "That wasn't close. That wasn't close at all." And I'm like, "Bro, whether you won or lost, that was a close fight.
That was
it doesn't matter who's
fight.
Watching it. That was a close fight."
Yeah,
and so it was, just.
So that's only his 4th fight. You look at the lightweight right now, and you see the killers that are in there. He hasn't broken into the top 15 yet as of filming this. I don't know if that'll change with the win that he just got, and I don't know who would drop out. But yeah, it feels like he's got some work to do to start climbing.
Yeah, I don't know that they're aiming to get into the top 15 yet at all. I'm not sure what that plan is there, but I think they're doing it smart as far as the opponent-wise and level-wise, but I just, I want him to get through those guys easier.
Yeah. That one is razor thin.
Yeah, especially after watching Bryce, I was just like, oh, God, come on. Like, don't get hit.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about this fight. The main event of the night, light heavyweight title bout, Jan Blachowicz, Magomed Ankalaev. This came down 5 rounds. The fight went back and forth.
Yeah.
This pendulum swung both ways, and when it was all said and done, they ended up with a split draw, and neither of them walk away with anything.
So I don't know what I was doing during the first round, but I don't remember the first round.
Okay.
I wasn't paying attention for some reason, but I remember perfectly 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
2 and 3 were clearly Jan Blachowicz.
Clearly. 3, I feel like he almost had Ankalaev out with those leg kicks.
Yeah, it was about over. 4 and 5, Ankalaev got the takedowns and was winning and was doing his thing.
Yep.
So it was, in my opinion, when he was at 4 that was a 10-8. One of them was for sure 10-8.
Oh,
it might have been 5. But I had it as a 10-8. And then I thought, well, man, if Blachowicz won the first 3 rounds and that was a 10-8 and he won the 3rd or he won the 5th, it's a draw.
Yeah.
I was like, it's going to be a draw. And so I believe that everyone thought that Blachowicz won the first 3 rounds.
Yes.
And so why anyone complained that it was a draw, I'm not sure. Why even Blachowicz said it, I'm not sure. I guess one of the judges gave Ankalaev the first round, which apparently everyone thought he didn't win. So that's what caused it to be a draw. Had they both gone for Blachowicz for all 3, and then, that's what caused it to be a majority draw. Had they all 3 given it to Blachowicz for the first 3 rounds, and then the last 2 to Ankalaev, it would have just been a straight up draw because of the 10-8 round. But only one judge, I believe, gave it a 10-8 round. And what's weird too that only one judge, 'cause it was a clearly dominant round. But
I think I even asked you during that one. I'm like, did he do enough at the end of this to avoid the 10-8? And you're like, I don't know, maybe.
yeah, because he got up with 20 seconds left and got out and threw some punches, got on top, I think. But I had it as a 10-8 round. And so I believe that if it goes back to the first round and everyone's saying Jan won the first round, then it's a draw. The only way it's not a draw is if Ankalaev won the first round. And so Ankalaev is talking trash, saying, I might not fight for this organization again because the judging, whatever. But the people that I'm listening to talk, and I haven't gone back and watched it yet, but I will go back and watch the first round. I think that, Blachowicz earned the draw, by winning the first 3 rounds. So
I pulled up the scorecard. Blachowicz, unanimous 10-9 on round 1, Blachowicz. Unanimous 10-9 round 2, Blachowicz. This is where it changed. One judge gave 10-9 to Ankalaev for round 3. So it was round 3 that they switched.
Okay.
And then the 10-8 came from in round 5. It was round 5 that they gave.
So it was
the
the last
10-8.
round.
Yeah, it was. So Jan won, according to one scorecard, he won the first 3, lost the first 2, but it was 10-9s all the way around. So we'd give that one, and I think that's how they called it. And then the 10-8s, one of them was 47-47, and then the other one, they were even going into round 10. I'm sorry, round 5. And then because they gave the 10-8 to Ankalaev, that made it 46-48.
So Jan Blachowicz' leg kicks, he was literally going bone to bone, shin to shin because he was southpaw.
Yeah.
Hitting that inside leg, destroyed his leg to where he could barely stand. He switched stances and 2 to 3 kicks on that leg, and now he can't stand at all. And then he started wrestling, and I was like, holy crap. Like, he was almost out of there. He was almost out of there.
Yeah.
And Blachowicz overcommitted on something and got taken down. And then that saved him, allowed him to make it to the next round. And then he just wrestled the next 2 rounds. Pulled out the Dagestani out of his back pocket.
Dropped that card down.
Yeah, decided, I'm going to wrestle now.
I'm not done yet. I thought it was 2 things that I took away from the title fights. Number 1 is I'm a Jan Blachowicz fan for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because for anybody, I think that he, like everybody, maybe had a little bit of recency bias, saying, okay, I just watched you get 10-8 in the 5th round. You kind of lost that fight. And I think that's what Jan got up thinking as well. Right. You know what? I just got obliterated in that last round. I probably don't deserve this. Just give it to Ankalaev. And I was super, super impressed with that.
Yeah, that was cool to do, but he didn't lose the fight.
Yeah.
He didn't lose the fight. And even if it was a 10-8 round, he didn't lose the fight. So accept the draw. It sucks because what Dana did to them is go, and now 2 other people are fighting for the belt.
That's awful.
Who was the champ that just...
Yuri Prohaska?
No. Who he beat for it? The Brazilian.
Glover.
Glover
Teixeira.
Glover Teixeira is now fighting Buckley. Buckley? No, not Buckley.
What?
I don't know. I'm terrible at that weight class. If there were 45ers, I could tell you everything.
I know. That surprises me.
I forget who he's fighting, but he's fighting one of those guys that are right there at the top of that division, just below.
Raychik?
No.
Anthony Smith.
No.
So it's Prohaska, Teixeira, Blachowicz, Ankalaev, Raychik, Anthony Smith, Jamal Hill.
Jamal Hill. That's who's fighting for the belt.
Okay. Number 7? Really?
Yep. Jamal Hill's fighting for the belt.
Wow.
Yep.
That good for Jamal Hill.
Yeah.
The other thing I learned out of this is that Ankalaev is just guy must have like a pain sensor that he can just flip off.
I mean, you could tell he was feeling the pain.
Oh, but
he just kept going.
He just kept going.
Found 10 more minutes.
Yeah, that's super, super interesting.
Not only find 10 more minutes, he found 10 more minutes to win.
He 10-8'd him.
The end.
after
at the end.
that. Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Overall, it was entertaining. Had a good time watching it. I was sad. I thought both. I didn't think Patty was going to win, and before we were waiting for that decision, I'm like, man, Bryce and Patty, like really, like that's a tough night.
A rough night for sure.
So and then to have the final fight end in a draw, you feel for both of those guys. So.
Yeah, it was wild.
All right,
on to the next one.
What do we do?
That's it.
All right.
Thank you. See you guys.
It is all over, just like that.